Hey everyone, it's Monday, February 1st, 2021. Welcome to episode 51 of the Ginger and the Beard podcast. I'm AJ, aka The Ginger.
And I'm Reese, aka The Beard.
On this week's show, we'll be welcoming the Beard back from dry January by drinking and reviewing two delicious craft beers. Welcome back, sir.
Woo.
Recapping UFC 257, talking about the matchup between Ben Askren and Jake Paul, discussing Xiaomi's new wireless charging technology.
I was wondering how to pronounce that. Thank you. We'll also be talking about Sony's new asymmetrical VR patent, Koren Zombie hitting rock bottom, and what's next for Google Stadia.
But before we get started, I want to remind you to subscribe on YouTube, follow us on Spotify, and come interact with us on Instagram and Twitter.
Yes, and make sure to check out the YouTube chapters with the timestamps in the description if you'd like to skip around to your favorite topics. All right, man, let's get into this. Usually we kind of get into our weeks. It's like we're switching it up a little bit. We're going straight into the drinking segment. So, without further ado, what you drinking, man?
Yes. So I teased this today on Instagram. I've got a whopper for you today, folks. Dogfish Head. Let me see if I can center the camera here. Dogfish Head, 120-minute IPA.
It's a lot of minutes.
So many minutes. And we're going to get into what does that actually mean in a second. But man, it's been a crazy Monday. It was a very busy Monday, so I'm excited to crack into this bad boy. For those of you out there who don't know about Dogfish 120-minute IPA, this is one of the most sought after IPAs, I would say, at least in this part of the United States, for its extreme hoppiness. It's been around for a long time. I think it came out originally in like 2003 or something like that. I'm not sure if that's accurate. You might want to fact check me on that one, but it's been around for a while.
I believe it.
And yeah, you believe it. And so the kicker here is that the ABV is undetermined. It's between 15 and 20%, depending on which batch you get, how long it's aged, that kind of thing. But I did some research here and found out what they shoot for is 18%. So this is a big dog. So it's not a 16 ouncer, it's a 12 ouncer. And I'm going to go ahead and crack this open.
It's crazy.
Just down for my bottle opener here.
Because it's like 4 beers in one little bottle, It's a lot.
Yeah, exactly. So when I was doing some research, I actually found a video where the CEO of Dogfish Head was talking about 120-minute and what's so special about it. And he was like, yeah, this is, we definitely don't recommend you guys drink a 12 ounce of this in a sitting, unless you're doing it over the course of an evening, or maybe even share a bottle with a friend. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, wait a minute, I've definitely consumed one of these and then consumed another beer after that. Not another one of these, but like something else to follow. I'm like, uh-oh, do I have a problem? I don't think so.
No, you're good. Do they come in 4-packs, right?
Yeah, they sell them in 4-packs. They're actually kind of hard to find, but fortunately, one of the girls that works for me, she lives in Delaware, or she's from Delaware, and she lives near Dogfish Head, and she was able to pick me some up. So let's go ahead and pour this out here.
Nice.
So it's definitely not a new beer on the scene. People have had this before, but I thought it'd be kind of cool. It's my last one of the 4-pack. Thought it'd be kind of cool to give it a little bit of a review here. Look at that perfect pour.
Whoa.
Head straight to the top. Woo!
It's darker than I remember it being.
Well, don't believe the camera. The camera lies. It's definitely not as dark as what's showing there on the screen, but it does have a nice golden color to it. Pretty hazy. I actually meant to kind of give it a turn upside down because I did notice that there was some sediment at the bottom. I've had this one for maybe like 3 months or so. And this beer ages very well, which we're going to talk about in a second. But before we do that, let's give it a little sniff. So definitely very hoppy on the nose, which is what you're supposed to get from this. This is supposed to be for the hop lovers, the hop heads out there. If you're into the bitterness, this is your go-to. Very, very hoppy, citrusy aroma. Interestingly, doing the research, I couldn't figure out what kind of hops were used in this. I guess I probably could have dug a little bit deeper, but Dogfish Head did not make it readily available as to what hops they're using. And maybe they're trying to keep the secret sauce secret. So
yeah,
could be that. But as that foam there, that nice thick foam kind of settles in and the haze starts to dissipate a little bit, some background on this. The reason it's called 120-minute IPA is because it's continuously hopped. Or sorry, let me back up here. The reason it's called 120-minute IPA is because it's 120 IBUs. So if you guys don't know what IBUs are, they are the measurement of bitterness for beers. So 120 IBUs is quite high. It's up there on the high end.
Yeah.
I think your typical IPA is somewhere in like the 60s to 80s. So this is it's got a nice bite to it. But the way they get to that IBU is they continuously hop this IPA throughout the entire boiling process, and then they dry hop it on top of that with copious amounts of hops. Again, they don't say exactly what kind of hops, but that's how they get this extreme bitterness. But now that it's kind of settled down, I'm going to take a sip. That's delicious.
Nice.
So good. So bitter. Woo! Yeah. You might want to work your way up to this one right here. But
yeah. I've had it before. I didn't like it because it was so bitter.
Yeah, it's very bitter. And as you can imagine, at 18% or 20 or whatever it happens to be, it's definitely got some bite. That alcohol content definitely hits you there on the back of the throat. You get that burn on the way down for sure. And they describe this as a sipper, so it's something you want to kind of sip on throughout the evening. They actually recommend that you let it sit out for about 30 minutes before you open it, because it's better enjoyed cool and not cold. I think mine sat out just now for maybe like 20 minutes before this, and it tastes great.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, just to kind of describe this for you guys, I mean, it's definitely a little citrusy. It's kind of hard for me to pick up. It definitely must be a special blend of hops that they're using, because I can't really pick out anything that I'm super familiar with in terms of like, is it Mosaic or Galaxy or Simcoe or what is the actual hop they're using. But it's definitely got a level of sweetness to it. And they actually describe it, if you're familiar with the 60-minute IPA or the 90-minute IPA, they describe it as being sweeter than that. And the reason that is because there's a lot of residual sugars that aren't processed by that yeast, in that, because there's so much hops in there. So, and that's also what kind of makes it better to age. Those sugars continue to feed that yeast for an extended period of time, and makes it good for aging. So I actually had somebody... Go ahead, sorry.
I'm sorry. Are the yeast feeding on the hops and creating more alcohol from the hops? Is that happening as well?
No, I think what actually allows you to preserve it for so long is because the amount of hops actually act as a preservative, and that they have like an antiseptic property to them.
Okay.
Which, while we're on the topic, you guys make sure you go check out the blog, thegingerinthebeard.com, because I actually just put out an article about what is an IPA, and in there explains the origin of an IPA and why there's so much hops in there. And originally the original reason is for preserving the beer on long voyages across the sea. So yeah, I think it's the alpha acids inside of hops that create that antiseptic property, and helps beer last a long time. So people have aged this beer 3-4 years before drinking it, and actually had somebody comment on our Instagram post saying that at about year 4 it starts to take on more of a barley wine sort of flavor.
Ooh.
So he was recommending don't go past like 3 years if you want to stay away from that.
Oh wow.
So
okay.
Kudos to you for aging something that long, and having the I'm not sure what the word I'm looking for is, but being able to wait, the patience.
The patience, there you go. I was going to say willpower, but patience makes more sense.
And willpower, absolutely. But anyways, delicious beer. I mean, definitely one of my favorites to kind of enjoy again over a longer period, because it just still tastes great after it gets a little warmer. It still tastes great. So definitely recommend you guys get your hands on that if you can.
So there's still, malt in there. And is the barley for some reason causing the yeast to slow down in consuming that malt, or is it just the type of malt that they use? They used a more roastier malt that left that residual sugar behind.
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm gonna have to look more into that. I can't remember exactly what resulted in all those residual sugars.
I'd like to know that. Yeah, I
yeah,
think
that's interesting.
because that's probably what it was. Either one of those, right? I feel like, but yeah. Anyway,
Yeah,
that's such a
super good,
great
man.
beer. Such a great company too.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
they've been around forever. I love Dogfish Head.
yeah, they're a staple for sure.
And they make some goses that you're a big fan of, right?
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
Oh god, I can't remember the name of it right now. the camera lens goza Super 8. That's what it is.
There
Super
you go.
8.
There you go.
Yeah, man. That was my last summer. Not last summer, not COVID summer. The summer before COVID summer. That was my go-to, man. I was drinking gozas like all the time.
Yeah.
It was really nice. But that's not what I'm drinking tonight.
Yeah, welcome back from dry January, man. You made it through. What are you ringing in the new month with?
Well, it's been a long month. It's been a good month though, honestly. I didn't really mind it. I got to try some new NA beers, which were less than pleasing. So very excited for today. I'm bringing back a Hardywood.
Oh yeah,
love Hardywood. Love everything they do. Love their bourbon barrel series, and we got a raspberry stout with vanilla beans. Now, I've had raspberry stout before by Hardywood. I might have even done. I'm pretty sure I even reviewed one. On stream, but this one's different because the raspberry stout that I had, I don't think it was the bourbon barrel series, and it definitely didn't have the vanilla beans added. So I saw a little 4-pack of these cute little bottles at Total Wine. So I figured, you know what, it looks good. I bet it's gonna taste good. I know I like the raspberry stout, so let's give it a shot.
I'm excited.
I forgot my beer opener downstairs, so got my handy dandy.
Oh gosh, here we go.
Crazy knife here thing.
Please don't slice your hand open.
It's like, it's not sharp. Like, I don't know if you can tell, but it is like,
it's for looks.
Yeah, it is. This is a present that my uncle bought me when I was like, I don't know. It was a long time ago. But let's see if I can get it to work first off.
There you go.
There it is.
Nice.
Okay. Mission accomplished. Now we just gotta pour it out.
See what it looks like.
Oh, it smells like tart raspberries. Like, oh, it's a very pleasant smell. Yeah,
I'm excited to watch you drink a beer you actually like.
Yeah, I'm still getting the fruitiness of the raspberries on this, man. I love it. Okay, all right, let's pour it out. Let's see what we got going on here.
It's so dark.
Oh, oops. Wow.
Careful now. Oh, save the keyboard, please.
Danger, Will Robertson.
It was almost a foam over there.
Yeah.
For you folks listening in your car, that was a sketchy moment.
We almost had a foam over. Well, I don't know if you can tell, but it's black as tar.
Yeah, man, it looked super dark. I'm curious if it's got a red tint to it. It's kind of hard to pick up on the camera here.
Yeah, I can't see through this at all. This is completely opaque, completely black opaque, with a very dark tan head on the top there. What I love to see is uniform bubbles, man. And this sucker has all very, very small uniform bubbles spread throughout. That's how you know it's quality. That's the first thing that you can tell if it's a quality beer, if it has uniform bubbles, just a uniform head all spread throughout. Just very, I don't know, just I like to take a swim in it. Honestly, it looks very nice.
You're all about them bubbles.
Yeah, I'm still getting the raspberry. Like it's a good raspberry. I like it. Very sweet smells to it. I'm not getting any of the vanilla that it mentions, and I'm not really even getting like a normal stout type of smell to it, where typically you would smell stout and think maybe like molasses or like a coffee or chocolate or something along those lines. It's really I'm just getting some raspberry, which is cool. So let's give it a sip.
Nice.
I got a lot more on that. That's great. I've been eating a lot of raspberries, actually. So I've been eating raspberries like every single day for like the past 2 weeks. So I feel like
good for you.
That's helped me kind of like pull out the flavors. Surprisingly, this is actually more bitter than I had anticipated. So it's 50 IBUs. So I guess I knew that going into it, but now having that first sip, I'm like, oh, that's more bitter than I would like, actually.
Yeah.
But behind the bitterness is a lot of strong flavor. Now that I'm starting to get the aftertaste, I am getting a little bit of chocolatey, a little bit of molasses, picking up on those malt characters, right?
Very nice.
But still, strong raspberry on the tip every time. Now, I didn't look into this, but I'm assuming to get that kind of raspberry taste, they probably added some type of like syrup extract or something along those lines. I have a feeling that they probably didn't add raspberries at the end, because I wouldn't expect to get this type of flavor if they did it that way, unless they added just like straight up raspberry juice. But yeah, so this sucker is supposed to be 11.5 ABV, so certainly not a pushover in any way. I'd say it's full to medium bodied. It seemed pretty strong. The beer's sticking to the glass. It's coating the mouth. Not as much as I normally as it normally would. So yeah, probably a little bit full to medium bodied. Light carbonation there. Very delicious. Overall, I like it. I like it a lot. And let me give you guys a little blurb from their website. A dessert beer to the core, our raspberry stout is truly a feat in decadence. Loads of chocolate malt, cacao nibs, and local late-season raspberries from Agriberry Farm all contribute to what would best be described as a raspberry truffle in liquid form. I could totally get that. After months of patient maturation, careful there, in freshly emptied bourbon barrels, our raspberry stout is finished on Madagascar vanilla beans, revealing a confluence of smooth, rich, dark chocolate, ripe red raspberry, and vanilla. Still, I didn't really get any vanilla. Let me try it.
I was going to ask you about that, actually. Man, you really threw me for a loop on that. Oh, man.
I'm sipping it, and I'm like searching for it. I'm trying to find it. Man, yeah, I'm not getting any vanilla at all.
Yeah, well, to answer your question earlier, it sounds like it's just fresh raspberries that they
exactly
pack in that sucker.
I read that earlier, so I don't know what the hell I was talking about. I guess I forgot, but yeah, it's Agriberry Farm. Legit raspberries, awesome, man. Late season, full of flavor, tons of flavor, man. It's really good. I think for a stout, this would be one that you would really like because of the bitterness that's on it. Yeah. And the fact that it has like that extra like flavor to it, that extra sweetness and whatnot. I feel like this one would be one that like would really be up your alley. So
yeah, definitely, dude. I've been all about some stouts this year, man.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm an IPA guy through and through, but the more stouts I drink, I'm like, damn, dude.
Yep.
I'm starting to come around to the stout hype train. I've got some stouts in this fridge right here.
Stout game, dude. Stout games. Yeah. Stout games top notch right now.
Yep. So that's cool, man. I agree with you. Hardywood, man. They've I've only been recently getting some of their beers. Obviously the gingerbread stout, the Christmas pancakes, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Love their beers. So good. Kind of jealous. I do definitely want to try one of those. Now they're bourbon barrel series. So it's aged in bourbon barrels, right?
Yeah, so as soon as it's
that's right. That's where the maturation comes in.
Yeah, exactly. Careful. When I first read that, I was like, what? Oh, whoops. Okay. Get your mind out of the gutter.
After months
it says
patient.
It says patient maturation. I was like, whoa, hey, calm down. Anyway. So I'm such a 12-year-old at heart, dude. I don't even care. I had to go there, but yeah, no, it's it's freshly emptied into bourbon barrels. I don't know how long they stay there, but you know, frankly, when I try their bourbon barrel series compared to their just regular series, I could usually tell like very strongly the bourbon barrel. But right now, I'm being overpowered by raspberries and bitterness. I'm not even getting the sweet notes of the bourbon barrel, which usually when you drink these, it's like that is like right up front. You're like, oh yeah, this is bourbon barrel. Let me try it again. You know what? Now that I think about it, it's not just the raspberries. I was getting confused because of like how the raspberries were at the forefront. It's a combination of the sweetness from the bourbon barrel and the raspberries. The raspberries just kind of like mask it, and it's like, hey, I'm all raspberries, but guess what? It's actually like just at the forefront, but the bourbon barrel just I don't know, I feel like I'm being posh, so sorry for being a douche, guys, but it like accentuates the raspberry flavor, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. That makes total sense, man.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome, dude. It sounds really good, and I'm glad you got something so tasty to welcome you back.
Dude, I'm almost like halfway through it.
I know. Slow down. Yeah, if we are a little loopy at the end of this, it's because I'm drinking an 18%er and Reese is on a 12%er after a month-long hiatus. So
yeah,
just bear with us, folks. We got a lot of show left ahead of us. So with that said, let's move on, man. I think we got some interesting UFC stuff to talk about. It's been a couple weeks.
I'm ready to talk about it. I know you are, and UFC 257, man. What a surprise.
Yeah, definitely a night of upsets. Man, I know that this is kind of old news at this point for some folks, but we haven't really got a chance to break this down and give our opinions and thoughts on at least the main fights on the card. So I think we should start out with Mike Chandler versus Michelle Chandler versus don't say that to his face, Dan Hooker. Going into this, obviously I'm a big Dan Hooker fanboy. I was really anticipating. I think you and I were on the same page. We thought that Dan Hooker was going to pull this one out. We were kind of like, I don't know what the word is for it here, but basically kind of counting on Michael Chandler kind of getting put in his place in the UFC and like, hey, welcome to the UFC, buddy. Here's Dan Hooker.
Yeah.
But damn it if he didn't come out and surprise us.
Dude, that's how it usually goes, though. They come over from Bellator, and they're like top of their game at Bellator, and then they came over here, and they just get beat up by, Joe Schmo, whoever it is. I'm not saying Dan's definitely not a Joe Schmo. That's for damn sure. But yeah, I mean, I would have put my money on Dan Hooker winning this, but I do feel like Dan came out kind of like flat-footed and timid, and he didn't look like himself.
Yeah, I think he, I feel like he's a kind of a reserved fighter at the very beginning, feeling people out and kind of getting his range and figuring out what the opponent has to offer. But Michael Chandler didn't give him that opportunity, man. So
no, he didn't.
I think kind of what we were expecting. He came in very aggressive. He set the pace from the beginning, and he definitely rose to the occasion. I mean, that's for sure. I'm always talking about Dan Hooker's durability. Again, I've said it 1,000 times. But go watch the Edson Barboza fight. You'll see how durable Dan Hooker actually is. And so with that in mind, I was like, there's no way he knocks Dan Hooker out. If he wins this fight, it's going to be on the ground or it's going to be by decision.
Yep. We were looking for a brawl.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought this was going to be a bloody knockdown, drag-out fight. But turns out that Mike Chandler's packing some heat, man.
Bro.
He pushed the pace. He pinned Dan Hooker up against the cage. He had him on his heels from the beginning. And, he took him out. KO, clean KO. Nice. I think it was a right hook to the jaw.
Yep.
Sat him down, and then he put him out. So
he's just a little guy too.
Yeah, compared to Dan, I mean, he's short. He's stout.
Yeah.
He reminds me of Alexander Volkanovski a little bit in that stature.
Yeah.
But yeah, he impressed me a little bit, I will say. But I was a little sad for Dan Hooker. But before we kind of get into Dan Hooker's reaction, which is a little bit of more news kind of came out about that today, actually, let's talk about this call outs at the end of the fight.
Oh, the call outs? Oh, geez,
Yeah.
who did he call out? I mean,
yeah,
he can't do Khabib, right? I mean, he was talking a lot of smack about Khabib and being like, yeah, if he comes back, then, you know, I'm going to be the guy that dethrones him, trying to, you know, let him know what's up. And then I'm pretty sure he called out Conor and Dustin and said, whoever's winning that fight, you know, I'm next. Let's do this. Let's fight for the, you know, the belt.
Yep. So here it is right here. I found it actually. He said, Conor McGregor, surprise, surprise, is a new king in the lightweight division. Dustin Poirier, your time is coming. And Khabib, if you ever do see fit to grace us with your presence back here in the UFC Octagon in your quest for 30-0, you've got to beat somebody, so beat me if you can. God bless. See you at the top. I think that was the Ric Flair callback.
It was. That's what they said. It was the Ric Flair call out. Yeah, that's pretty funny. Yeah, I think he did a good job. You know, it was a little corny, but
a little bit. But
it's the Ric Flair, so whatever.
Good on him, I guess. Like, he came out, he has 100% ultimate confidence. Mm-hmm. You know, I think that's the best outcome for him. Obviously, that you know, with his UFC debut, and it's got to feel good. You know, it's got to be a crazy rush, right? Like you fought your entire career, you got into Bellator. But being in Bellator, it's like you're in, like, I don't know, you're in like the B League, right? You're like the backup team almost.
Yeah.
And you finally get your call up to the majors, right? Yeah, right, it's like I don't know anything about baseball. But what's like the minor leagues? You're in the minor leagues, right?
Yep.
You finally get your call up to your major league team, and you actually show up and make an impact. So good on him. I think he deserves to make those call outs, but you know, he's got that division, man. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Completely stacked.
But seeing how he handled that, I mean, that, you know, not a lot of people can do that to Dan Hooker. I don't know if anyone's done that to Dan Hooker. So, you know, I'm super excited to see him fight again. I wonder what's going to be next. I think they got to do, you know, I don't know, man. I feel like they really need to not give him the title shot just yet, because, like, there's a lot of other guys, man, that have been going for a long time. Tony's right there. Gaethje's right there. I don't think Tony's really in the running anymore, though. I think that what they need to do is they need to do Gaethje versus what's that guy's name? The Latino guy. What's his name?
Oliveira,
yeah. I think they need to do Gaethje Oliveira, and then whoever wins that either fights for the title against Poirier or fights Chandler, and then whoever wins that fight fights for the title against Poirier.
Yeah, so they actually, today, it came out that they offered Oliveira Chandler. They offered that fight, and Oliveira turned it down. He said that he didn't want to take that fight and risk getting the title shot. So I guess what he's hoping for is either they call him up for a title shot against Poirier if Khabib never comes back, or if Khabib does come back and takes on Poirier again, which, I mean, I don't know why they would do that, but you know, he's looking for that title shot. He doesn't want anything besides the title shot, it sounds like.
Yeah, Khabib still has the title.
Yeah, right, exactly. So Mike Chandler's ranked number 4 already in his UFC debut. But yeah, I don't know where else he goes from there. I think he either gets Gaethje, like you said. I don't know who else he would get. I mean, unless they gave him Conor McGregor, and actually came out today that Joe Rogan, not that this matters to some people, actually favors Michael Chandler in that fight with Conor McGregor. You know, based on what we saw, and it's kind of a good transition into the next fight. Based on what we saw in the Dustin Poirier fight, I don't know if I'm kind of in agreement with that, but hopefully Conor takes his lesson from Dustin Poirier and kind of evolves a little bit. And it wouldn't be the first time he's done so. Definitely don't think you can count him out at this point. But that showing against Dustin Poirier was quite interesting to see, you know, his return and how he, I guess, matched up to people's expectations.
Conor really hasn't beaten anybody significantly since he, you know, defeated Alvarez for the title. You know, and before that it was Diaz, and before that, and he lost to Diaz, but like ever since he beat Alvarez, he's just been, it's just, he's the big, money maker, but he loses everything he does.
Yeah.
He beat Cowboy. He knocked Cowboy out in 40 seconds, and Cowboy, I feel like he's kind of on his way out anyway.
For sure.
And what did you think about Conor's physique?
I mean, dude, leading up to the fight, I thought he was completely jacked. Like, he was huge. I don't know if he was outside of that weight class or what, but he was huge. I think going into the fight, he looked good. I thought, I mean, what did you think?
I thought he looked like he lost all of his muscle mass. All of his muscle mass was gone. He looked very lean, but he didn't look like he had the tone. Yeah. It's like when he cut weight, he lost all of the muscle, retained more fat than he needed.
Maybe so.
And so I think Dustin looked like a fucking monster compared to him when they were in the ring together.
Yeah, I'm looking back right now to see if I can find some images of it.
And when you go back and you watch, Conor at 145 back in the day when he was fighting like Chad Mendez and those guys, like, dude, his movement was like he was floating on clouds the whole time, dude. His movement was so pristine. It looked like his feet never even touched the canvas, right?
Mm-hmm,
and now he's always very flat-footed. He's not moving very fast. He's predictable, and you could see it in this fight. He couldn't get Dustin with any of the counters. Dustin was actually getting him with counters. Dustin was outboxing him, through and through, and really the leg kicks is what put it all together. Dustin was chopping at his legs, and if you don't get kicked in the legs very often, then you come back after a couple of years and you get kicked in the leg a lot. Well, that's what happens, I guess.
It'll catch your attention for sure. And that's what everyone was saying after the fight was like, how did he not adjust for the calf kicks? Mm-hmm. How was he not looking for that? I don't really know. I don't understand why he didn't. Maybe he was trying not to show the pain. Maybe that's why he didn't switch stances or why he didn't start to check. Or maybe he just wasn't prepared, or maybe he was expecting a boxing match and wasn't expecting leg kicks. But I agree with you. He definitely wasn't bouncing around as much as he typically does. Wasn't as light on his feet. But yeah, I think even after the fight, he said like, there's even some like post fight kind of clips that they put up where he tells his corner, he's like, this calf is fucked. Like, yep. It's done. Right. So, I mean, maybe that just kind of straightened him out, and that's what led to the demise. But you do have to wonder, like, the dude's filthy rich, right? Like, he's got everything he could ever want. He's got his whiskey business. Is he not motivated? Does he not want it like he used to? But then, yeah, I mean, how could you? Right, you're exactly right. But then you have the post-fight interview where he seemed pretty sincere when he was like, "Hey, I want to keep fighting, man. Like, I need a challenge. I need to be active." And so to me, it sounded like he was telling Dana, like, "Dude, give me some more fights. I want to be active. I want to come out." And I kind of liked that story of Conor. Like, I, number one, liked his mannerism going into this fight way better than we've ever seen it. Like, he actually was respectful. He wasn't as boastful as he's always been. He was very cordial with Dustin Poirier before and after the fight. Like, if that's a new sort of attitude from Conor, like, it kind of like even Dustin today, I saw something that Dustin said, like, the ground is not a place for a champ, and Conor is a champ. Like, that the ground is no place for him. He'll be back, or something like that. You kind of want to see like this rising sort of star again. Rocky. I don't know. It's like,
as much Rocky moment.
Yeah, as much as it's timed like the changing of the guard, it's also like a good feeling to see like somebody who was so prominent in the sport. It's almost like Anderson Silva. Like, Anderson Silva reached his prime many years ago, but he kept fighting and you always rooted for Anderson Silva. You always wanted to see Anderson win, no matter what.
But he never won.
He never won.
He won against Brunson out of like the last 8 of his fights in the UFC. He won 1 against Brunson, but I don't want to see that happen to Conor. I really don't. Like, I want to see Conor go spend, 6 months out in the snow in the mountains, punching cow carcasses and carrying logs up and down snowy hills, okay? Just wearing a gray sweatshirt. That's it. I want to see him do that, and I want to see him come back, and we got to find Drago somewhere in the UFC. He's got to fight. He's got to fight Volkov. He'll come back and fight Volkov.
Comes back with a beard like this long, this giant bushy beard.
He's just jacked, like 265 pounds. Like, what the fuck happened to Conor? Oh my god!
Just been eating straight up elk meat for a year.
That's it. Just elk meat. Fucking going to sleep after doing 700 push-ups. Like, yeah, that's what I want to see. I think that'd be awesome if he did that and came back and was just like a beast. But honestly, man, like you said earlier, you know, when you got that much money, you're not like fighting for it. You don't have that drive. Like before, he didn't have any of the money, and he was poor. He was a plumber at one point, and you know, he didn't have anything. He lived on welfare, right? So he's like, I got to fight to make it. And now he's like, he's got everything. He doesn't have to fight to make it. Now he's just fighting to remember.
For fun. Yeah, true.
He's trying to get back to the glory again. But I think he's got to, you know, take a step back and think about it and realize, okay, I better game plan a little bit better next time for these fights, or you know, well, I don't know. Who knows?
You're definitely right, man. And somebody who is kind of chasing the glory now and is an up-and-comer, Jake Paul. The Paul brothers just won't get out of the headlines. Did you see this Jake Paul versus Ben Askren matchup that's like actually happening?
I didn't realize this was actually happening. I saw something earlier where Ben Askren got a new heavy bag in his basement, and it's got Jake Paul's face on it. He's like, yeah, I get to punch this every day now. I didn't realize that they're actually fighting, though. That's crazy. Yeah,
so the two of them had a beef on Twitter, I think. I don't know too much about it, but apparently, I guess when Jake Paul, he beat, what was the guy's name? Nate Robinson, the previous NBA star, completely knocked him out cold. But, I mean, again, it's an NBA star, so, like, what were we really expecting here?
Right.
You know, I mean, to his credit, I don't want to spend too much time talking about Jake Paul or the Paul brothers, but like they actually do train boxing pretty hard, and they're pretty big dudes.
They're not bad either. Like, he's not bad.
Yeah, exactly. So we can talk all you want, but he actually can throw a punch. But so he knocked out Nate Robinson. I think then he started calling out a bunch of MMA fighters, a bunch of UFC fighters. I think Dylan Dennis was one of the ones that he was running his mouth to. Then Conor. Then he's talking. I don't remember who else he was talking to, but Ben Askren was Jorge Masvidal. I think he called out Jorge. No, sorry, back up. He's training with Jorge. That's what I'm getting mixed up.
Oh, right. Okay.
And so now I guess Ben Askren had some beef with him on Twitter, and so now they've actually made a matchup. They've made a matchup with a UFC fighter and YouTube star Jake Paul. My question is why?
I don't know.
Why do this? Who does this benefit? Other than Jake Paul, this doesn't benefit anyone.
It benefits Ben Askren. He gets a big fat paycheck. That's all he cares about. I don't see how he wins a boxing match against Jake Paul, to be honest with you. Ben Askren is not a striker, and certainly not a boxer, and he's like 40 pounds smaller than Jake Paul.
Yeah. And he's like 40 years old. Isn't he like 38 or something like that?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, he is way past his prime, and his prime was wrestling.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm like, this is the worst possible thing they could have done from the UFC's standpoint. Like, what better way to give a bad name for UFC fighters than to put Ben Askren in a boxing match with Jake Paul, where he's got a very high likelihood of getting knocked out cold. And then you've got Jake Paul running around saying, I knocked out a UFC fighter, now what? You know what I'm saying? Like,
somebody should just pay Ben not to fight this.
I know.
Don't do it, Ben. Don't do it.
Exactly. And I saw that video you're talking about where he got that heavy bag. And like just him hitting that heavy bag, I'm like, you look like a 12-year-old who doesn't know what they're doing, like punching that thing. With your like weird little square stance, you're doing like this. Like, that is not you don't box like that. What is that? So
yeah, it's gonna be embarrassing for UFC fans. Ben Askren's going to get knocked out. It's going to be bad.
I'm going to watch it.
Yeah. I'm gonna watch it too, but I'm gonna like it.
I'm gonna be in Ben Askren's corner just because I think Jake Paul's mouth he needs a good old humble sandwich.
Yeah,
and hopefully Ben can give it to him.
They should do a wrestling match right beforehand, and then do a boxing match. See how, because Jake will just be so tired. But yeah man. Geez. Well, I got a little bit more news for you. I don't know if you were a fan of Korean Zombie or not, but I know you were a fan of Brian T. City Ortega, who recently, as recently as October of last year, beat Korean Zombie on their way for a title shot, right? So they were fighting for the title shot, and whoever wins that fight was going to go on for the title shot. And we know Ortega's on for the fight now, but where did that leave Korean Zombie? Well, I'll tell you where. Rock bottom. According to him, he gained over 40 pounds after he lost to Brian Ortega. Man, that's a lot of Krispy Kreme donuts. Watch out. Watch out. Yeah, so it was the title fight was on the line. He's 33 years old, which I actually didn't know. So he's kind of like, he's like in his prime years right now. I feel like a couple more years and, you exit that prime because he's at the pinnacle of his his intelligence level and his physical, peak right now, which won't last very long. But he said that he was having a lot of trouble sleeping for the couple nights before that fight. He said he only got about 1.5 hours on 2 days before the contest. So he was, I don't even know how he was awake, man. That guy must have been so tired. So probably had a lot of brain fog. And I know when you're fatigued like that, you can't think straight. So I'm sure he was, muscle memory can only take you so far. You got to have a little bit of ring intelligence. But, he really took it hard, it seems like. And he ate without control for a month and gained all that weight. He was 187 pounds and he fights at 145. So pretty big difference there. Crazy, man. Crazy. So what do you think? What do you think about that as a fighter doing that to themselves?
It's definitely unfortunate, man. I mean, yeah, you're right. Korean Zombie his name carried some weight to it there for a few years where he was very, very well deservedly hyped up. Whenever you heard about Korean Zombie fighting, you definitely get excited.
Yeah.
He's kind of like the scary robot guy coming at you and he's just going to come slay. But
he has the most fight night bonuses in featherweight history. And he's even finished people like Dustin Poirier, right? Frankie Edgar, Renato Moicano, Mark Hominick. What were you going to say?
No, I was just going to say it's unfortunate to see this happen. But, I guess everyone reaches that, especially any type of athlete, man. You reach that prime, that pinnacle, and you start to go downhill, whether you're a football player, a basketball player, whatever the case is, fighter, and you start to wonder, like, well, shit, what am I going to do with the rest of my life now? I'm not a fighter anymore. Like, now what? And you probably get into this weird state of depression, but
that's what it seems like, right? Because that was his moment. That was his moment to get the title shot and win.
Mm-hmm.
Everything he's been
absolutely.
working for.
If he would have won that fight, it might have been him versus Alexander, and he could have had that shot. But yeah, definitely unfortunate. Hopefully he can turn himself around and at least get back into shape. Maybe he's living his best life at 185 or 187. Who knows? But doesn't sound like it.
No, I don't think so. But yeah, no, man. So hopefully he does get back into it, figures it all out, and maybe we'll see him later this year. But I think that brings us to the end of our UFC chat. So I think we better get this show on the road, man. We were talking about UFC for a while. You could tell we like it, and maybe a couple extra beers in our system. Well, these strong beers get us going. But let's jump into this tech news segment, man. Let's do this.
Let's do that.
All right, man. What do you got for me?
All right, so I was going to spend a little bit more time on this story, but now that we're a little bit behind the ball here, forgive us for our lengthy UFC discussions. Typically, we try to keep this pretty close to an hour, but I think we're going to go a little over this week. But real quick, I'm going to jump to the chase here. Xiaomi is a giant Chinese smartphone manufacturer. They are the most, I believe, the most popular, if not, maybe they might be right behind Huawei manufacturer in China. They make smartphones, flagship phones that are a little bit more affordable than what you might find over here in the States. But the big headline here is that they have announced something called the Mi Air Charge. Mi is spelled M-I. I definitely recommend you guys go check this out. It's essentially a base station that you'd place in your house that sends out waves of, I guess, electricity. I don't know anything about science, but it remotely charges your phone up to 5 watts of power. So if you are familiar with Apple's little legacy, little tiny square power bricks, those are 5 watts of charging. They can charge your phone with 5 watts of power. And for a modern day phone, it takes a few hours for you to get a full charge off of that little guy. But this Mi Air Charge is doing that completely wirelessly. You don't have to set your phone on a mat. You don't have to plug it in. It's got 144 antennas firing millimeter wide waves with something called beamforming. That sounds fancy. Directly to your phone. So they are saying that doesn't matter if you put something in between you and this little base station. It doesn't disrupt the power. It can charge several devices within a several meter radius. And they hope to eventually expand this technology to more devices, such as watches, desk lamps, speakers, and more. Right now, I'm sure at first it will be exclusive to Xiaomi phones, but essentially the phone has to have a special receiver and special antennas to accept that charge. But kind of what I want to discuss here is, like, number one, we're not clear on when this will be in the hands of consumers. It's just something that's been announced. It's not available for purchase at this point. But, like, what's the practicality around this? Like, is this something we actually need? Like, in your personal life, like, do you need wireless charging? I mean, we already have kind of like set your phone on a thing and it charges, but
yeah,
do you need to have constant charging as you're walking around your house?
I don't think need is definitely, I mean, we definitely don't need it, I don't think. I mean, it's a convenience factor where it's like, do I need to remember to plug my phone in, when I'm sitting here at my desk for multiple hours throughout the day? But I have forgotten and been like, have to go do something and I'm like, oh, I only have 5% battery. Oh crap, I didn't plug it in. Are you kidding me? So
what a loser.
What a loser. Can't believe you do that. But yeah, so I mean, maybe there is like a use case for it, but it's scary, dude. What? That is scary. What? I mean, we already have Wi-Fi and Bluetooth and all kinds of other stuff beaming off of us constantly. You're gonna put these giant ass freaking waves on me, like. Although actually, now that it doesn't say what the wavelength is. If it's a very long wavelength, then it's like probably not too risky. But I don't know. I don't know. I'm kind of interested though.
Yeah, I mean, I that is also something I thought of, was like, what's the health risks here? Has anybody explored that yet? I don't think China's too concerned about health risks most of the time, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, are we going to constantly getting like a minimal amount of like electric charge in our bodies, which could be a good thing. Maybe like your heart rate is increased slightly, like you're more attentive, alert. I don't know. Maybe it's a good thing.
I don't know, man. That's scary. I just thought of something though. Like, what if everybody had electrical vehicles instead of you having to like stop at way stations to like charge them? Just like every like mile or every like half mile along the highway, there was just these giant Mi Air charges that you were just like driving by. And they were powering your car. That's the future right there, dude.
Yeah, absolutely. I can get behind what you're saying about like forgetting to plug it, but dude, like this iPhone 12 right now, I'm sitting at 68% battery. I woke up at 4:30 this morning and unplugged my phone.
Wow,
4:30.
Nice. Yeah,
it is currently almost 10 o'clock and I'm at 68%.
Dude, I think you've upgraded your phone like 3 times in the time that I've had my phone now.
Fair
point. I still have the Pixel 2 from like freaking like 3 years ago.
Yeah, okay, fair point. So my battery's pretty fresh. It's a pretty new phone.
Mine dies in like 3 hours. It's really bad.
Okay, so I can see the use case there. So if you do have an older phone that dies more frequently, maybe you could use constant charging. And also maybe if you're somebody who watches videos constantly or plays games constantly and you don't want to have that cord coming out of your phone while you're trying to play a game, I can see that use case as well. So I guess the use case is there. Now for desk lamps, speakers, I don't really see it, but cool technology nonetheless. I gotta give it to them.
I mean, I guess you could get rid of like all the outlets in your house and just have one, like you could just have Mi charge hubs like all around your house instead of outlets. Like every room just has a Mi Air, port in the wall, and then there's no need for cords anymore. That would certainly help with my desk. I wouldn't need any cords.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Probably for the computer, I'd probably still have to have that sucker plugged in something. I don't think Mi Charge could handle.
I think everything should
50 watts.
I think we should just run everything off of AA's. My computer monitors, my PC, my lights.
All right, guys, it's been a really good show. We'll talk to you next week. Have a good one. I think the Gingers had a little bit too much of the suds.
Oh, man. Good times.
Yeah,
but interesting stuff. You guys let us know. Would you be interested in that kind of technology? But moving on from that, something else I wanted us to kind of discuss here, and I'm trying to make this a little bit more brief than it could be. Something came out this week where Tim Cook essentially he had a speech at a Brussels International Data Privacy Day. People in Brussels apparently care about data privacy. You should as well. But without naming Facebook, he fired shots at Facebook and kind of, accentuated the beef between the two companies. And if you're not familiar with why they've got beef, I'll give you the quick and dirty version. In iOS 14, the most recent software version on iPhones, on iPads, or I guess maybe it's just iPhones, they essentially made it so that any app developer has to disclose what information they are taking from you in order for you to use their app. So if you download Facebook for the first time, you'll probably be prompted with something like, hey, this app requires you to give your location services, give your contacts, give your email address, give your bank history, all this sort of stuff. And so Facebook, obviously being... So then as a consumer, you could say, oh, wait a second, Facebook, I don't want you having all that data. Never mind. I'm not going to download this app. Or, hey, Apple, help me block all this data stuff that Facebook's trying to steal from me. And Facebook, being a company who makes its money off of advertising, relies on that data to make its money because it supplies advertisers. And I can say this because I've used advertising services on Facebook. It allows advertisers access to that data to say, I would like to target this advertisement to anybody who has shopped in this particular geographic location, is thinking about this sort of purchase, is members of this group, is interested in these things, that kind of level of targeting. And so that's why people spend money with Facebook. So Facebook has then, since this new version of iOS has come out, has taken out full page ads in magazines talking about how detrimental Apple's new software is to small businesses, because small businesses rely on that advertising to make their money. So Tim Cook kind of went back on the offensive this week and came out, and I'm going to read an excerpt from this article, which I definitely recommend you guys take a look at this. I don't remember what source this is actually from, but you can Google it, you'll find it. He said, technology does not need vast troves of personal data stitched together across dozens of websites and apps in order to succeed. Advertising existed and thrived for decades without it, and we're here today because the path of least resistance is rarely the path of wisdom. If a business is built on misleading users, on data exploitation, on choices that are not choices at all, then it does not deserve our praise. It deserves reform. We should not look away from the bigger picture, and a movement of rampant disinformation and conspiracy theory is juiced by algorithms. We can no longer turn a blind eye to a theory of technology that says all engagement is good engagement, the longer the better, and all with the goal of collecting as much data as possible. So he never mentioned Facebook by name, but you can discern what you will from that. So I'm kind of curious your thoughts on like, where do you stand on this equation? Like, obviously we love our phones, we need that technology, but do we need companies like Facebook mining our data? Is that a necessity for us in order to trade off for a small service?
That's a big risk, right? It's a big risk to privacy, right? We all have the right to privacy, and it's a constitutional right. And, we give up that right to privacy every time we hit accept on these terms of service. I'm not a big fan of Facebook. I'm really not a big fan of social media in general. I've never been a big fan of it. I've never been a huge user of it, for multiple different reasons, but this being one of them that, I have the services, but I don't really put my information out there. And frankly, I've been thinking about paying for a yearly subscription to a VPN server like NordVPN or something like that, just so that like even when I'm browsing the web, like people don't have access to my stuff. I really, in today's day and age, like you're so vulnerable to attacks. You don't even realize it. Your phone is a little supercomputer, and people just think, oh, it's a phone, it's safe, like I don't have to worry about anything. Like, it is so easy to exploit your phone. It's ridiculous. People can hack into your phone and steal everything on it, and you wouldn't know any better. All they need is your IP address. If they get your IP address, you are screwed.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, it's just a really scary world to live in right now, and the fact that a company's collecting our data for profit. I'm not so worried about like the advertising aspect of it. I'm worried about the data security of it, where now everybody's data is stored in these, however, who knows how protected they are, servers. Hackers are going to try like hell to get access to that, and they're going to get your information. You've seen all the hacks that have come out. Sony got hacked. Nameless companies have been hacked over the past 2 to 3 years. Google got hacked. I had to reset like 100 passwords, right? Because Google got hacked.
Yeah.
So it's just I don't know. We live in a weird world.
Yeah, definitely. And the article that I was reading makes the point that these two tech supergiants are on a collision path essentially. And if you think about it, the two of them rely on each other. If Facebook was no longer available on iPhones, many people would jump ship and go to Android to get Facebook. But also, if Facebook was not available on iPhones, Facebook could potentially lose a ton of users, right? So they kind of need each other. So they need to find some sort of compromise here. And, a lot of people would suggest that Facebook needs to figure out a different monetization option. Yeah. You need to be able to pay for a version of Facebook that does not steal your data. You can use a paid version of Facebook that does not serve you ads, just like the New York Times or something. Well, I don't know. I don't subscribe to New York Times, but these different publications that require you to pay to read the content, right? Like Facebook should offer a similar service, but
it's this easy. Instead of you like taking the data behind people's backs, just have like a survey system and have it be voluntary or something. Be like, hey, you want to take this survey so that we can gauge what your wants and needs are? And just and put it in people's face. Yeah, exactly. And reward them with do a point system. And as you rack up points, you get more perks to use within the Facebook app, like more emojis, more, whatever it is. You get a star next to your name. Who the fuck cares, right? Like shit like that. You can incentivize people to take these surveys and start marketing to their wants and needs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, we could talk about this for a long time, but I will say, speaking on this topic, I think it's a good thing to recommend you guys all visit haveibeenpwned.com. That's haveibeenpwned.com. If you go to that website, you type in your email address, it will let you know if your email is in any sort of breach, has been involved in a breach. and then you can go and change your email address, change your password, all that sort of stuff. So it'll tell you which hack. If you, for instance, Yahoo has been hacked and you have a Yahoo email address, it'll say, hey, Yahoo was hacked. Your email address was part of that database, and you can go and take action there. So
I've been pwned.
I think almost everyone's been pwned. It's definitely not surprising. Let me type mine in here. I bet the Ginger and the Beard's email address has been pwned.
Dude, they said I got pwned by 4 different data breaches, but like these 4 companies I've never worked with before. Like, what the fuck? River City Media? What the fuck's that?
Yeah, that's probably a result of people selling data to other companies.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, same for me. I'm looking at mine right now. Collection number 1. I don't know what that is. Zomato. I don't know what that is. It's a restaurant guide website. Zynga. Don't know what that is.
Dude, I'm thinking about
houses. I know what Animoto is.
It's really scary because they got physical addresses is on here. My physical addresses. I can change my email address. Even IP addresses are on here. Holy shit, man. That's not good. Wow. Well, let's continue on with the show. I'll look into this later. All right, guys. So Sony patented they revealed that they patented a asymmetric VR gameplay concept. So what does that mean? Recently published patent by Sony shows an asymmetrical VR mechanic that would allow a spectating audience to participate and influence in a VR experience. I love the idea of this. When I was doing VR all the time, I was thinking, well, how can I stream this to other people and have them interact with me while I'm playing the game? Like, just imagine watching a streamer and being able to interact with them in the game. Like, actually, let me explain. The patent is available to view on the United States Patent and Trademark Office site and describes an experience in which audience participation includes augmenting the VR scene based on the spectator inputs in response to the interactive content of the audience participation content. Yeah, so what's that fucking mean? They gave an image and it really wraps up. There's 3 people sitting on a couch. They're looking at a screen. There's a sword, there's a guy, and there's a ladle. And then there's a guy with a VR headset on. And the people on the couch are voting for one of the 3 objects, and they decided to vote for a ladle. And then the guy with the VR headset on, a ladle appears in front of him that he can grab and wield.
This sounds awesome.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, that's just like the bare bones of it all. Like, you could go so many places with this, and I love it. I can't wait to see it.
How is this not a thing already?
That's what I was wondering, man. But you got to think, like, VR is still kind of like in its infancy. We've come a long way from Google Cardboard, but they're still working out the hardware of it, right? They still want to get the hardware cleaned up. And I mean, there's tons of companies working on the software aspects of it, and this is just one of them. But if it's going to keep going, you'll see stuff like this. And when they start coming out with stuff like this, that's when I think you're going to see a tipping point where people are going to be like, oh, this is cool. Let me do this, But people,
that sounds so fun for like a party game or something. Take turns with the headset. I'm envisioning games where like you can throw objects at the person in VR and they have to like slice it with a sword or something, like Fruit Ninja, except for the people on the couch are throwing the fruits out, or something like that.
Yeah,
that sounds really fun.
Even like if I was playing the game and like my wife was like sitting on the couch and like it was like a story game or something, and she could like choose what shit was happening next, whatever it may be. But yeah, man, I don't know. I'm pretty excited about it. So.
Yeah, I dig that a lot, man. I need to get a VR headset. I think that's the bottom line. I'm like very trepidatious to like get into it and worried that I might get like sucked down a black hole.
I don't have a news article about this to talk about, but you should wait because they've already announced that they're working on the Quest 3. So the Oculus Quest 3, I'm sure it'll be out next year. It might even be out at the end of this year, but it'll probably be out like mid next year to late next year. So just hold off until then, and eventually I'll make my way down there, and you can play with the Rift S that I got. So
Yeah, man. I'll sit tight then, based on your recommendation.
Yeah, man. But speaking of playing, we got some video game stuff to talk about, so let's jump into it.
Let's do it.
Boom, we're in it, man. So I real quick just want to give you guys 2 quick news articles. I know we're past our hour now. This one really isn't news, but if you have Amazon Prime, then you have access to free video games, and they just added 8 new free video games for February. They only are available for the month of February. There's also a whole slew of Sega games. There's like 30 different Sega games right now that are free that you can go and play. A lot of fighting games, a lot of crazy stuff. You got to go check it out. I'm super excited. I want to go check it out. There was 3 games that stood out to me, though, and so I'll list them off real quick. Number 1, Stealth Bastard Deluxe. Become the infamous tactical espionage arsehole and make your way quietly through a strange high-tech facility that appears to exist only to kill you. That sounds pretty interesting to me. Yeah. Algo Bot is another one. ALGO Bot. As a maintenance droid on a massive pan-galactic colony ship, it's up to you and your cranky boss, PAL, to save the sleeping crew from cold, suffocating death when a routine recycling job goes very, very wrong. I actually really want to play that one. That one's probably the one that I'm the most interested in. And then number 3 that I found interesting was Little Big Workshop. Grow and manage a magical factory filled with diligent workers who can create anything you want, from rubber ducks to drones, electrical guitars, and more. Yeah. Prime gaming,
Very
dude.
nice.
Free stuff.
Yeah.
You know we love it.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely, I feel like I've heard of Little Big Workshop before. I'm trying to figure out where I can find a list of Sega games that are free.
I can send it to you.
Yeah, please do, man, because I want to check that out. I found the free games, but okay, here we go. I see Little Big Workshop, Algobot.
Here, I got them right here. King of Fighters 2002, Samurai Showdown 2, Blazing Star, Polestar, Art of Fighting 2, Fatal Fury Special, King of Fighters 2000, Metal Slug 2, that one I really want to go back and play, SNK 40th Anniversary Collection, Shock Trooper Second Squad, Baseball Stars 2, Sengoku 3, Ironclad, I want to play that one too, King of the Monsters, King of Fighters 2002, 98, 97, The Last Blade 2, Samurai Showdown 5, and Gauru, Mark of the Wolves. I will send it to you right now.
Nice. None of those sound actually familiar to me. I was hoping there's some like, I don't know, NBA All-Stars or whatever. What was that game called? I think it was...
For the old Sega stuff? Yeah. NBA Jams? Was that
NBA
it?
Jam, yeah. NBA Jam, Sonic, Rayman.
You know what? I misspoke. It's not Sega. It's SNK Classics. So not
I don't know
Sega.
what that is.
It's just game developer from back in the day. That's all.
Okay, gotcha.
But yeah, man, it'd be awesome to play some NBA Jams. You're on fire.
I still have my Genesis, dude. Next time you guys come, actually, my brother's got it, I think.
Oh shit!
So awesome. As long as he hasn't destroyed it yet, it still worked, man. I played it like a few years ago. It still worked. So
that's crazy.
You just gotta blow out those old cartridges, stick them in there, and some jam, dude. I got 2 controllers too. The next time you come down,
we might break that thing. Watch out!
What are you guys still doing awake? It's 4 a.m. I'm on fire. Leave me alone.
He's on fire. Slam dunk. Anyway, last bit of news: Google Stadia. Is it Stadia? Stadia? I don't know.
I say Stadia. I think it's Stadia, but I can't swear by it.
Stadia. Tomato, whatever. I don't think anybody actually calls it a tomato, though. Isn't it just a tomato? It's
just tomato. If you say tomato, just
I'm gonna start calling my shit tomatoes and potatoes. Potato. Hey, man!
Last week that was the highlight of your week last week.
Yeah, it was
some sweet potatoes.
Dude, I went and bought more sweet potatoes, and I had a sweet potato earlier, dude. They're so good. But Google Stadia, whatever, shuts down internal studios, changing business focus. Man, I just feel like they're just going through so much over there. So basically, well, hold on. they promised to revolutionize gaming by letting users stream games without needing to own a powerful PC or console. They were developing games that were going to be specific to their platform. So they're out of the game making business and will now offer its platform directly to game publishers alongside offering Stadia Pro to the public, which will be okay. They're going to close its 2 game studios located in Montreal and Los Angeles. Neither had yet to release any games. Basically, they're going to release anything that was scheduled for release in 2021, but if it was scheduled for release past 2021 or didn't have a release date yet, it's gone. You'll never see it again. So they're going to continue to operate the Stadia gaming service, and it's $10 monthly pro service, so you'll still be able to get that. The company plans to begin offering its tech to publishers, opening up the possibility of Stadia becoming the streaming tech of other video game companies. So basically, they still want to offer their streaming service. I just feel like Google was like, you know what? We're not making video games. Let's just have this service. Let the other people make their video games, and then they can put them on our platform. And let's just do it that way. And that makes sense. Why would you, like, Microsoft and Sony didn't come out like making video games and their console. Like, they just had their console. Other people made the games. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. I wonder, like, what's behind that decision. Like, I don't really know. I mean, you've got Amazon Studios who makes games, right? But I don't know that they've had any smash hits.
Yeah.
You know, not that I can recall, at least. So nothing, I agree with you.
You're talking about Amazon's?
Yeah, Amazon Studios.
Yeah. Well, when when New World comes out, I think that'll be a hit. I really do.
Okay. Yeah.
But they put so much money. They took a big hit on Crucible. You remember Crucible?
Mm-hmm.
What a waste, man. They lost big on that one. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I feel like Google, they've got the resources, they've got the money, absolutely, to do something cool. But I feel like it's the right decision, man, especially in this economy. Now, you know, we live in these times where back at the beginning of the pandemic, we started reporting on, you know, how the rise in popularity of gaming and how gaming is set to take over television in terms of, you know, users, I guess you could say.
Time,
yeah, time spent. But give the little guys a shot, man. Like, Google, you're getting all the money anyways from everywhere else, so yeah, I think it's a cool. Hopefully, I don't know if that's what led to their decision, but
it's a budget thing. I'm sure.
Probably so.
They bit off more than they can chew. They probably overly. Yeah, whoops. They probably overly diversified, right? They're fucking 75% of this beer, and I'm like, can't talk anymore. But they, you know,
they can chew.
Yeah. They probably had so many different projects, right? And it's like all of these projects needed more funding before they were going to complete, because obviously they probably didn't know what they were getting into, and they have to have polished products, and they're probably like, no, we want to just release them, get it done and get them released. But like, none of these companies realize what it takes to make these games, and it takes more money. You got to invest, you got to get it right. And they were like, nope, you got to hit these target dates. Anyway, what I'm saying is it was probably a budget issue. They cut it. They're not going to worry about it anymore. I think it makes sense. They should have never done it anyway.
Yeah, I'm excited for this to happen though. Like, now having a smart TV, which hopefully I believe would be capable of running Stadia. You know, all you got to do is order the fancy controller and have some good Wi-Fi, which I've got.
They said it works on if you have a screen, then it works on it.
So it's the controller that actually has the software? Is that the case?
I actually don't know. I just know that, like, what they said is if you have a screen, like, even on your cell phone, like, hardcore gamers can be, like, you know, at school or at work or something, and they want to play, you know, some badass game that they would normally play on their computer, on their cell phone. They just need the controller. So, yeah, it's probably
I'm all about that. I'm all about that, man. Yeah, well, I look forward to that becoming mass market and available for folks. And good for the indie developers that now hopefully can get that spotlight.
Yeah. Now you don't have to wait in line for a GXT 3080.
Line that never ends. I keep getting notifications where I like registered to get the 3060 and like told B&H Photo to notify me when something's available. Keep getting those emails like, hey, the 3060 is available now. I'm like, I'm not even clicking on you because I know this is fake news.
Yeah. It's probably not even actually available. It's probably already
before you hit send on that email, that thing was bought out. Yeah, so.
Yeah.
But anyways.
Yeah. Anyways.
Well, I think that about does it for the show this week, guys. As always, we appreciate you guys tuning in to another episode. This one a little bit longer than we typically go for. If you're new to the show, typically we keep these things to an hour, but lots of exciting news to talk about this week. Lots of stuff going on. But, as always, we ask that you guys please like and subscribe on YouTube, follow on Spotify, and, of course, come say hi on Instagram and Twitter.
That's right. And, of course, if you really want to help us grow the show, please share this episode with a friend who you think will like it. For now, we'll see you all next episode. Take care.
See ya.
Peace.